and we'd like to welcome Dr. Kristian Hammond. He's a professor of computer science at Northwestern University. Thank you so much for being here, Doctor. A really interesting conversation Joel laid out here. So one, what are your biggest concerns with this technology, and how do you think the government should address them?
Well, I would say oddly enough, the biggest concern with AI is not the technology itself, but how it's utilized. In particular with what we call generative models, foundation models. They can create something that didn't exist before. Mm-hmm. And that means that they can do work in the world of deep fakes. So we can create faces, we can create animation, we can create experiences that look like they were really happened. And that means that we can flood the world with that. And that is probably the most, the most pressing early-term problem. But there are a slew of problems with the technologies that we've understood for years that we're still not addressing. And so I would say my biggest concern right now is that we're so excited by the very, very frightening things that we don't pay attention to the technology is causing depression in young women. The technology is used to convince you to make decisions that you don't want to make. The technology can be biased. The technology can be aimed at small segments of the population and not cover the rest of the world. There are all these things that we're not addressing, and I'm glad they're doing this right now. But
how do you think the government even begins to put guardrails on something like this? All of the aspects you just mentioned, we arguably don't have our arms around even social media at this point. So where do we start drawing lines in the sand?
I would say it's straightforward to be able to say, even on social media platforms, which are in theory don't look at everything that gets posted, you are not allowed to post material that was designed to look like it was true, that is false. That is to say, you are not allowed to lie in certain ways with these technologies. I think that on the social media side, understanding how people use the platforms and how the notion of engagement could turn into addiction. We understand these problems, and there are actually rules that could be put in place. But we don't want to worry so hard about AI waking up and deciding it's super smart and we're annoying, and so it kills us all. We don't really want to worry about that. That seems to be a thing that people are worried about.
Okay, well, it's a little hard not to worry about it when you mention it like that.
But it's not going to do that, and we're not going to do the stupid things that would set it up for doing that. But understanding that these are tools that we can partner with and use to tremendous positive effects. And we just have to identify the use cases that are the use cases that will hurt us.
In about 10 seconds, I could talk with you about this all day. It's such a fascinating topic. What are the industries, or where could we benefit the greatest, do you think, from this technology?
I think the law is going to be transformed. Certainly, journalism is going to be transformed. Education, my job, is absolutely going to be transformed. Because how do you teach writing to someone who has a writer on their desktop? Mm-hmm. Well, you actually use that writer to teach them. And understanding that these technologies can bring us forward if we think of, it's not ChatGPT produces some text, it's me and ChatGPT working together can produce some text.
All right, fascinating conversation. Doctor, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.